Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing here? They be on there. Oh, come on in, come on in. And I am just excited. I'm just excited. I'm waiting for some people to get some notifications, right? Waiting for y'all to pop in and say hi. And this is new and different, guys. And so we're gonna go with it. So let's see, do I wait for y'all? I kind of got to give it like 2, 3 minutes for everybody to get notified, for you to notice that I'm live. Can't promise you that the replay will be available anyplace else but YouTube. So this is while I am waiting for some people. I am also telling you that YouTube is where you want to be. If you think this will be beneficial, follow Legacy Builders on YouTube because that is where the replay will be. I used to like go in to Instagram and like re-upload my lives, but it's like several things. And then with Facebook now, they still aren't good forever. I don't know those of you who know, but Facebook now deletes your lives and stuff like that after 30 days. So all the work of like going and putting it up, like it's almost redundant because like if the people don't watch it in the first 30 days, then they don't get to see it. So YouTube is where you will go to see all the information. And hello, 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 whoever has joined. Of course, it doesn't say who's joined, just tells me that people have started joining. And I'm doing something different. I am literally live, sitting on my couch, right? And it's ask me anything. And not ask me anything in terms of what you wanted to know about me, but I am believing that the people who this comes across, there is something you wanted to discuss with someone. You had a question and you're like, man, I don't know if that's the question. And I'm telling you, if you ask the question, I'm gonna find an answer and we can talk about it. If you feel froggy, I'll even send you the invite link and you can join me and we can talk through it. I am just here. Like there is someone. This was my instruction. So yesterday, if I am honest, was a really rough day for me. Um, yeah. And I shed a lot of tears because I'm going to be honest. I shed a lot of tears. I was very frustrated. And I will give you guys the analogy I had given to those closest to me. I told them I felt like I had been holding on by my fingernails. And at this point, my last fingernail popped off. So now I'm just holding on by my fingernails. And I gave a very bloody, gory like description. And I was like, yeah, that's just how I felt. I feel like I've been holding on in faith literally by my fingernails, and the last fingernail popped off, and I don't know what to do now. And she was like, and not just her, but the friends that I spoke to, my husband, the refrain was the same: let go. And I was like, let go? And here's why let go was offensive to me. Let go was offensive to me because at the time, I believed that I had been holding on to God, right? So this idea that like you really like I'm doing it. I'm out here believing in Jesus. I'm walking by faith even if it's by my fingernails, and you are stressed, you are frustrated, you are discounting very real environmental things that are causing and adding to the stress that you are under, the stress that you are dealing with. You are just like literally hanging on by your fingernails, and you are at this point like past your wits end. You're overstimulated. You can't like all the things. Every like what Murphy say, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Well, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. and you don't feel like you're making it, that was me yesterday, and then you come to receive encouragement from the people who you're doing life with your friends and the people who you love and all of that, and what you get is let go. Y'all, y'all, when I tell you, and I listened and I took it, I took that let go. I took it and I was like, um, okay, what do you want me to do here? Right. I'm on Instagram typing 30 seconds. See if it pops up. Okay, it's there. It's working. Um, and so I was there and they were like, let go. And I took it. And again, I was so, because I know the weight of the word offense or offended, I can't say I was offended because I wasn't. Because I was looking for answers, and it's just the answer I received is not the answer I thought I would get. I was looking for a just do this, or or better yet, I was looking for an answer that I thought was the right one, even though I didn't know what the right answer was, or I was looking for an answer that was doable. So, to a person who felt like they were holding on to Jesus, right? Even if it's by their fingernails, let go doesn't seem like the right answer. What you mean let go? How am I going to let go of Jesus when I'm here because he said what, when I'm here because this is what he told me, when I'm here because when letting go of Jesus means like that means, and again, even, and what's interesting is also, what do you mean let go when I feel like I've let go of everything? Because leading up to this, even the thing that I'm quote unquote holding on to, I already told Jesus that if this ain't it, he can have it, like, so what do you mean let go? And y'all, y'all, do you know that that's my it's 1 o'clock alarm, right? Because 1 o'clock is when I shift to do something else. And I know it's not 12 o'clock. And I know that it is 1 o'clock, but I really wanted to depart from the 12 o'clock. It felt like my initial yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm going to go live at noon. And then noon came and gone, and I was in the middle of working towards something, and I was not at a good stopping place. And then it was like, let go of the idea that it has to be at noon. Maybe the person who needs this ain't available at noon, but they'll be available at 1, right? And so I kept going, and my stopping point, then I was going to try and do 12:30, right? Who knows? I was going to try and do 12:30, and then I was running around like trying to find it, and then of course the laptop needed to restart, right? The laptop needed a restart, so it was just like, okay. If you are on Instagram, guys, is it frozen on Instagram? I feel like it is. Let me go check. Let me just y'all bear with me. Bear with me for these few moments as I check my Instagram feed. It looks on my end like it is frozen. See, now it's doing weird stuff. Yo, I'm trying here. Yeah, I think it's frozen over there. Because I don't even see a live. I can't join live. All right, we are going to try again, right? We're going to try again, beautiful people of the interwebs. We are going to try and invite Instagram back to the party. And if that doesn't work, then we would have tried. And we're going to keep going forward because apparently those on Instagram don't need it. Right? So then I have to go back. Y'all, I'm working on it. I'm telling you. But that's the beauty of an unscripted, right? I can and and I can do what needs to be done, right? Because there is no, this is not a show. There is no, oh, this is how long you have to be live. This is all contingent and dependent on you. We have great signal, we have great productivity now. All right. And I'm going to hold this space. Now, I can't promise you that I'm going to hold it forever, but I'm going to hold it for a little while. All right. All right. So, hi. If you are joining me, and I see more of you coming in and some of you leaving, and it's okay. This is not what you are accustomed to. If you can see the topic, it's called a clarity and strategy chat. That's just what I called it. This is not, let me tell you what it's not. This is not midday manna. This is not me coming and saying, oh, I have a word from the Lord. This is not a prophetic moment where I say, oh, this is what I feel like God is asking me to release. This is none of those things. This is in fact, let's call it a certain level of obedience where I pretty much and which is why it's not at noon, it's 1 o'clock, and I am just now live and I'm just now getting stuff working and all of those things. We're just going I don't know what's going on with Instagram, guys. It don't want to let me be great. But this is literally me holding space for whoever needs it. I think so often sometimes we are going through something and we're stuck, and a different voice would help. And it's not necessarily that you're looking for therapy. It's not that you're looking for, you maybe you don't even know what you're looking for, and you're just like, look, I'm gonna try something because what I know is what I've been doing hasn't been working. Well, this is the moment for you, and so I'm just here to hold space for you. And and so I was telling you guys, though, let me catch you back up. If you're just joining us, let me catch you back up. So what happened is, I was telling you guys that yesterday was a really rough day for me, and I like rough, all the tears, full overwhelm, full meltdown. And what was interesting was being able to process the moment and feel it. So feel the overwhelm, cry all the tears, get through that moment, talk through it with people who I knew loved me, who wouldn't judge me, who would actively and honestly pray for me, and who would tell me the truth in love, right? And to go through and do all of that and still not, and still get to the place where what I was told wasn't necessarily what I wanted to hear. And that's just the truth. Like what I was told was not necessarily what I wanted to hear. And when I say that, I mean like I told you, my analogy is I felt like I had been holding on by my fingernails and the last fingernail had popped. So now I'm a mess and I'm still trying to hold on now to pretty much nothing. Because if I was holding on by my fingernails and the last fingernail popped, what am I holding on to? I'm holding on to nothing. And despite all of that, I was holding on. And so I'm telling the people, like I said, who I love and trust, I'm telling them about it, and they're like, let go. I'm like, let go? What you mean, let go? And y'all see my forehead, how it was all frowned up, because that's my face. I was like, what you mean, let go? And it wasn't a pushback because I didn't believe them. It wasn't a pushback because I didn't receive the wisdom of the moment. It was literally after the conversations had ceased and I went back to the quiet. I was like, God, here's the problem. I think that I'm holding on to you and they're telling me to let go. So how do I let go of you? And I'm going to tell y'all what God told me in my quiet time, while I wait for somebody to take me up on the hey, let's talk situation, right? Because I am believing that if I am here, there is somebody who wants to talk. And even if nobody wants to talk, maybe I'm supposed to come on here and share about my experience yesterday so that somebody who catches this replay, either in the time that it is live or in the time that it is available on Facebook, or if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you scroll across this and you realize, hey, that lady was live again and it wasn't midday manna. But maybe somebody needs to hear this. So they told me let go. And I went to God and I was like, yo, they're telling me to let go of you. And he was like, nope, that's not what they said. And God began to tell me first, he was like, you weren't actually holding on to me so much as you were holding on to an outcome. I was like, okay. And again, he said that to me because I was on it. I honestly went to God and I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let go of what I thought was my hope in you. And he was like, well, that's not what hope in me looks like. And that's not what you were holding on to. You were holding on to an outcome. You were holding on to an idea that, okay, this is what God said, and this is how it's going to look like when it's done. You were even holding on to, this is how I think the process will look as we go through it. And so you kept, for all intents and purposes, making adjustments so that the experience would match what you thought it should look like versus what's actually happening. Right. And so, and I don't know, maybe that seems harsh to y'all, but he said it in the sweetest, kindest, most beautiful way, that I wasn't overwhelmed. And I was like, okay, I hear you. So how do I let go of that? How do I let go of an outcome? And you know what God said? Separate me from the outcome. It's perfectly fine to hold on to me, but it's not okay to hold on to an outcome as if the outcome is me, even if I told you I was doing it. God told me, separate me from the outcome. So he told you that, and let me pick, uh, he told you, and some, if you know me well, to send this text message to so and so, or to talk to this person. He told you go back to school. He told you write the book. He told you move. He told you quit your job. He told you he was going to provide for you. God told you this thing, and you've done it in obedience. And this whole time, you've been holding on in faith to the thing that God told you to do, and it has, and it has not worked. Like, in fact, it looks nothing like you thought it would. It's way harder, and it's harder, and it's interesting because it's a dichotomy. Because on one sense, it's even as I'm talking with you, God is teaching me about this. Because again, this is fresh. This is yesterday. This happened to me yesterday that I was told to let go. And what God told me, he told me to let go because I had been holding on to an outcome and not to him. And I was like, well, God, I don't know how to let go of an outcome. And he was like, well, hold on to me and not the outcome. And I was like, but I thought I was holding on in faith. And he was like, no, you weren't holding on in faith. You're holding on to the outcome. And as I'm telling you, like, it didn't look like I thought it would. God is literally telling me it doesn't look like you thought it would because you were looking at the outcome and not at me. So every time the outcome didn't match your expectation is when it didn't look like you thought it would. But if you kept your eyes on me, you would have seen me hold you and carry you and provide for you, and you would have seen me moving. But you kept taking your eyes off me and putting your eyes on this perceived outcome. Even if I told you quit your job and I was going to provide for you, every job application that you put in doesn't mean that that's the job that I have for you. It doesn't even mean that I have a job for you. It could mean I asked you to quit that job so that you could start the business or that you could be available to do XYZ, whatever, to meet the need of so and so. And they're going to compensate you beyond your wildest dreams for something that, excuse me, you have been doing for free the whole time. Or I'm going to reduce your expenses to zero and take care of you in a way that you can now work creatively on this new album or finish writing this book, right? And so we have, like, God will tell us to do something, and we develop these, let's call it these answers, these outcomes. And then somewhere along the way, we start holding on to the outcome that we think. And because we're holding on to the outcome, all the delay, the delays of the outcome that we superimposed over what God said, that makes us feel like it's hard. Even though if you actually focus on God, you would see him in, like, the whole way. So every time it felt hard, and this is what God is literally telling me right now. Every time it felt hard, it's because I took my eyes off of him and put it on the outcome. And so, as if that were not enough, because apparently I thought it was to talk it out with someone, but maybe it's just I need to talk, right? And because in a way that people, maybe nobody comes on here and talks, and maybe only two people will watch it, and one of the two people who watch this replay, or one of the two people who caught 5 minutes of it as they were shifting because they saw I was live, like, maybe it's for you. But I'm going to keep going because I already know that I'm being obedient. Um, and so the other thing, so they told me again, I needed to let go. I went to God and I was like, and he told me those things that, I wasn't holding on to him, I was holding on to the outcome. And y'all, I went, I processed through it. By the time, like, the tears were over, the conversations were over, I was okay. I was okay. I had, like, and like I was saying, it was interesting because, like, I felt all those big feelings. I had that big release. I did all of those things. And then it was just like having some conversations about, okay, so what now? Right? Because it's like, God, I didn't go through, and it was also interesting to observe what I now believe that I didn't believe before. So even as they were saying, like, you need to let go, and God is telling me all this stuff, I was like, I have no question that what God said is going to happen. Now, I don't know how, but I know it's going to happen. And even in my, let's call it devastation yesterday, I didn't question that that thing was going to happen. I didn't question that God was going to do it for me, because if I am so 100% honest with you, there have been times in my life where the enemy would whisper, it's not that God can't, it's, is he going to do that for you? I didn't question whether or not God was going to do that for me. God has like really gotten me to the place where I'm okay with that. So I didn't question, oh, is God going to do that for me? Um, Again, so the question was like, but it was so outcome specific. So I didn't question those things. So it was beautiful as I broke, like legitimately as I broke, because I told y'all I was bawling. As I broke, it was beautiful to see my progress, to see like how much God had really changed me from the person I used to be to the person I am today. And so in that, I was like, God, I'm really thankful that I broke yesterday. I'm really thankful that I was devastated. I'm really thankful that I was surrounded with safe people that I could break. And this break was actually, you healed me, right? Because sometimes when you break a bone and you didn't even know it was broken, it begins to heal, but it's healing and it's crooked. I think that's what yesterday was, that God was re breaking something so he could heal it straight now. And I don't know who needs to hear that, but that may have been for you. But so I go through all of that yesterday, and then I come out on the other side, and the other side of it is like uber productivity. So then I was like, all right, I need to get to work. I need to finish this, and da 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 da. And I start working on all this stuff and doing all this stuff because I'm just like, all right, God, all right, I get it now. I did it. I was obedient. I, whatever you want to say. And so went to bed last night. And then guys, I woke up this morning. Okay? And I woke up this morning and I was praying, and I'm going to tell you the thing that God told me this morning, that I was like, I'm really happy that yesterday happened, and that I had the space and the privilege to weep and to cry and to tell God why I was frustrated, and to tell my friends and to tell my husband about all that I was hurt and upset and I was mad about, and to receive that care, and then to go to God and for God to tell me, okay, like this is how you feel, but like just because you feel that, that don't make it true. And for God to show me where I had gone wrong in the most beautiful way possible, so that this morning when he whispered to me that this is the yesterday he told me, uh he gave me a diagnosis. The diagnosis of yesterday was that I was holding on to something that I didn't need to hold on to, i.e., I was holding on to an outcome and not to God. Hey, hey, beautiful. How are you, darling? So, like yesterday, and I had that whole experience where I was crying and da 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 da. And he was like, yeah, you're holding on to an outcome and you're not holding on to me. And so when I asked him, like, hey, God, I don't know how to do that, he was like, yeah, let go of the outcome and hold on to me. Like, so go through that. And God, and again, it was such a beautiful moment that I could be grateful for it. And then into the quiet, I'm telling you, that's the diagnosis. The diagnosis is that I was holding on to an outcome. This morning, God gave me the root cause. When I tell y'all, I was like, that's what I look like. I'm good. I'm good now. Yeah, I'm good now because I wasn't good yesterday, but I'm good now. And so I'm gonna look. I'm being honest. Apparently, this is where I come and I be honest, and I share in hopes that my honesty as a person of faith, as a person who maintains this deep and abiding relationship with God, as a person who hopes in some way that has shown you what life with Jesus can be like, and that it can exceed your wildest dreams. A person who hopefully is modeling at some level what it is to walk by faith. Like, I can come on here and tell you, and I crashed and burned yesterday, and I cried and I snotted, and God held me and He told me what I did wrong, and then right, and it was beautiful, right? Because like, I don't want to put out a story out there that it's always perfect, it's always sunshine and rainbows. No, life is filled with difficulty. But what I lived yesterday is that I didn't do it alone. God was with me. And not just through the people that I am privileged to have in my life, but when I went to God with my broken heart, He took it. He didn't judge me for what was broken. He showed me how not to have that happen again. And so then He was like, and so it's this morning that He was like, okay, so now that you know that it's that your heart was broken, and your heart was broken because you were holding on to an outcome, because you weren't holding on to me, and your disappointment stemmed from every time you focused on the outcome versus you focused on me and what I was doing. Let me tell you why you did that. Here's the why I did that. Pride had crept in. If y'all know, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that, like, like I have battled pride in many ways. And um it's wild to think that every time I win, I find another way that it manifests. So if we want to go back a couple of years, it's been a couple of years. Pride used to be not asking for help, right? I used to be that person who wouldn't ask nobody for help. And not because like I thought they were going to do it wrong. I was just like, first of all, you're not going to do it my way. And it's not necessarily that I think your way is right, but I definitely do think that my way is better. And so God was like, if because that's pride, sis, you think you better than people. And God dealt with me on that. And He made right. And then so we dealt with that. And then once we got past that whole not asking for help, God did, and we did a whole back when we used to do midday manna. Then we dealt with the pride of putting our faith in wrong receptacles, right? So God talked about counterfeit, right? And that was a whole long series because God showed me that pride, He gave me a working definition of pride for that season, where pride can also be putting your faith in a receptacle that can't hold it. So you have more faith in your job to provide for you than you have with God. And so you are grateful for this job, and you are proud that you are a whatever, right? That's pride. And the Bible says pride goeth before the fall. So at some point that thing gonna fall. And what you gonna do when you're no longer Dr. So and so, or you're no longer Mrs. So and so, or you're whatever, like what happens when the thing you put your faith in, when that thing is removed, right? Because so we dealt with that whole series about pride. And so when I tell y'all, when God told me, and it was super quiet, it was just me and God in my prayer time, and God was like, "Yeah, you got prideful," and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, because hear me, hear me, y'all. Here's where I got prideful. I had done it right, so I had been a good steward. We didn't mismanage our money. We didn't do whatever. And so we were good. We did the right thing. And I somehow, because it appeared, right? So what happens is, y'all hear how just slimy the enemy be coming and crawling in between there. I did the right thing. We put up for a rainy day. We did all the things. And because we did those good actions and rainy days came, and we were able to go to where we had put up for the rainy day, because it appeared, guys, that that was what was getting through, I literally started believing that the rainy day kitty, not that it was my provider, but it was like, because I had it, God hadn't provided. So I didn't, like, I never thought that, okay, my savings account, like, think about the thing. You never overtly shift and make this thing your God. So I never was like, oh, our savings account, our investments, our 401, like, I never was like, oh, the fact that we have this stuff, and we were had built a semi decent, because let's just call it decent. It ain't excellent, it ain't great, but it was a decent. We had a decent little financial situation going, that, oh, and so when we needed, it wasn't like I needed to go to the bank. Like, we didn't have to do a bunch of contortions. We could use what we had already saved. And the fact that I did that, I never actually intellectually or consciously made a choice to look to that thing as my provider. But what I did was, every time I went to that thing and I could make a withdrawal, and I made a withdrawal from, quote unquote, something I had done, I began to disassociate those withdrawals from God's provision. Because, and furthermore, not only did I disassociate those withdrawals from God's provision, what I did was, I those withdrawals, because they were, let's call it normal, planned. Well, not planned, because nobody plans to actually, I guess you plan to use the money in your emergency fund at some point, but like, really and truly, you have it in case you need it, but you really hoping you never actually need it. But saying all that to say, like, even though that was the intent, was to have to use it, you never really planned to. But because I had it, because we had it and we could use it, it was just like, I discounted it as God doing anything. And so I am so busy looking for a miraculous outcome that the day to day provision, okay, you woke up this morning, all the bills are paid, God did this miracle so that this here could work. You discount that. The everyday provision, the everyday grace, the everyday mercy. I literally took it for granted and began to believe that God had nothing to do with it. As if God was not like, okay, we're going to let the stock market crash and the whole thing dry up. We're going to let all your investments fail. We're going to let whatever. We're going to let calamity strike, and car repairs, or like, and I'm not picking, but there are any number of things that could have happened that could have caused us to not be in the position that we are in. And because none of those things befell us, I literally discounted God's not only his provision, but his protection. And then got myself to the place where, because the quote unquote miraculous was absent, was like, oh, God ain't doing nothing. What? Y'all see how pride will have you out here looking stupid? Because that's what I feel like. I look stupid. And then it's not just I look stupid in private. I get to tell y'all about it because apparently somebody somewhere will watch this and be like, oh, that's what I did. Let me back up. Because the grace is that I did it, God fixed it, He corrected it. And by His grace, the consequences are whatever maybe the consequences. This is a delay, right? But He's kept us in the delay. And so that's both the consequence and his grace, that he was like, so I'm gonna wait until you figure out how you've been dumb. And now that you're not, now I'll let it, all the delay, we gonna smash that. And it could be that. Or it could be, no, you still get to wait and you're gonna wait out this season, and then I'll still keep my promise. Because here's the thing that never changed. Like, what the outcome is that God is going to keep his promise, not that it's going to work out the way you think it will. And just because, rain didn't fall with no clouds, or just because the trees grew just as they were expected, and you still have food, don't act like just because the trees grew, because gravity gravitated, because the thing worked the way they were expected. Don't discount. So hear me. The principle is, don't discount the normal in your pursuit of the supernatural. Don't get so accustomed to supernatural that you take normal for granted. You hear me? Don't like the Bible says, don't despise your small beginnings. But I think there are so many, and I think, and I don't think I'm off when I say this. I believe there are so many of us who aren't seeing God because we're looking for the miracles. And the miracle that you still have the right mind, you just take that for granted. The miracle that, you know, your marriage is still together, that you have beat the odds, that, even though, and I think it's getting better, like marriage is trending up, but it's still around 1 in 5. No, 5 out of 10, because 50%, 1 in 2. So every other marriage fails. And the fact that you and your spouse are still in love, still building, still choosing, still raising kids together, if that was your decision, or have already raised your kids, and because like the things that hit other people didn't hit you, you're out here and, oh, God hasn't done anything for me because all I got is normal blessings. I guarantee you there are 20 people waiting for some of your normal blessings. At least 20. So that's, I think, yeah, I am going to, am I done? Yeah, I'm done. Um, there is no end and no beginning. But yeah, that's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Um, God is good. God is faithful. I do dumb stuff, and His grace covers me. But from this moment, I am asking God to help me to, one, don't overlook the normal blessings in pursuit of the supernatural, but two, give no that there is no place in my life where pride can creep in, right? So repent for that. Ask God to purify my thoughts, my motives, my attitudes, my intentions, and my perspectives, that I might be more like Him, that He would give me the mind of Christ, that my mind and my thoughts and my pursuits would be synced with Him. And three, that I let go of outcomes. And that's something I've been working on for a long time, and I'm grateful that God has finally shown me how to do that. And I'll keep you posted, right? Like it might be, I might be back tomorrow where I'll talk about how God, because like now that I think about it, I get it. Let go of the outcome. And how I let go of the outcome is to hold on to God and keep my focus on Him. And now my question is, God, what does that look like? So maybe I'll ask God that. And if He answers me tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow. If not, I'll be back when He answers me. Um, that was it. I was just holding space, and I held space. I hope it blesses you. I hope um, it helps. And feel free. This is your invitation to, if you do want to chat, send me a message. Send me a message. info@legacybuilders.com. That's my email. Um, or you can respond to one of these posts. You can send me a DM on Instagram, on Facebook. Yeah, if you do want to chat with somebody about almost anything, and I say almost because there's stuff that I'm just not going to talk about, I'll be honest. But almost anything. I think I have a pretty broad spectrum. And so if you are stuck, if you need and stuck from anywhere from I don't know who I am to I don't know what my next step is, I don't know how I got here, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, um, I just need a second set of eyes on this thing because it's not making sense. I need a system for this. I'm trying to hear from God. I'm new to this God thing, and I need somebody to make it make sense. Um, I am there's like, guys, if I tell you the amount of things that I do, like I could be talking for another 15 minutes and I won't. So I'm just saying, just about anything, just about anything. If you looking for a person to talk to, it would be my privilege. Bye.